We see a house is kind of boarded up. This is basically the trap house. Alright, so we just got a new Logic project. It's called Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. It was released May 10th. It has 16 songs and it runs for 55 minutes. The album cover, we have a lot going on. First off, we see a robot in the center of his shirt. This is Thalia, which is the AI you hear on his album Under Pressure, as well as The Incredible True Story. We see the Everybody symbol, which is from his album Everybody, and is next to the anxiety symbol, or should I say the anxiety logo, which is a play on the Adidas logo. And then below that we see Ultra, as well as text, and the text reads Ultra 85, and that's most likely his next project after that, as we know, because a lot of the titles for his future albums have previously been made public. But moving on, we also see Look Around is written on his left wrist. The upper left text reads Logic 6th studio album, and the 4 colors represent his previous projects, Under Pressure, which had a teal and aqua green color scheme, and then red and yellow represents the Bobby Tarantino mixtape series. So already you can see he's included a whole bunch of aesthetics to the album cover, which is pretty dope. And then we see the phone. On the phone we have a broken heart symbol, which represents social media not being something that cares about the feelings of the user, which oftentimes leads people to feelings of joy, anger, heartbreak, sadness, depression, anxiety, etc. And then on the outside of his face, he's stone-walled and gloss-eyed, but on the inside he's in anguish and looking to escape, which is illustrated by his skeleton literally ripping itself from the flesh. And then he throws up the peace sign, which fits into his peace, love, and positivity mantra. So a whole lot in his cover, and shouts out to the artist. He did some dope work with this, as well as like the artwork for like multiple songs on the album as well. But anyways, moving on, singles, we have Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, we have Homicide featuring Eminem, and we have Keanu Reeves. Standouts, we have track 1, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, is the first single. The record speaks on the pressures and anxieties Logic experiences in his daily life. He says, and whether you poor or you filled with financial security, everyone deal with their own insecurity. Even the preacher was born with impurity, scared to go out, even with my security, scared of the world and all of its obscurity. Pray for maturity, hope that I grow, hope my anxiety stay on the low. So right here, he's basically saying that although he may be famous and whatnot, at the end of the day, he's still a human being, and he still experiences some of the same things that everybody else does, which is, you know, anxiety and things of that nature. And then he says, what's your name? What's your gang? Come down, boy, just spit your flow. And this right here is a pretty much an ode to Absol's song, Terrorist Threats. And this part is kind of flipped from Janae Eichel's verse, where she basically says, kick your game, spit your flow, can't fuck with this top dog shit though. And then he says, searching for bliss only led me to searching for hits, only led me to battered, depressed. I done learned my lesson, cause fame never lessened the pain. What if your life was under a glass and people tried to dig up shit from your past and tell you that's good and what's not, and every time you drop a song they say that it's whack or it's hot, and don't give a damn that it came from the heart. So right here he's speaking to searching for happiness through, you know, the comments, you know, of other people, and, you know, searching for happiness by trying to constantly crank out hits, when in reality, you know, you should be doing things because you love doing it, not because it's something that's expected of you. And he's saying that the further and further he got into doing that, the further and further he got depressed. And so he had to take a step back and reevaluate things and basically do things his way. And then he's speaking to how his life is under a microscope because he's such a bigger artist. And that happens. You start off small, and then eventually once you get, you know, some prominence and some big success, everything you do is, you know, criticize. And then the people try to dig up shit from your past. That's a reference to a tweet he tweeted out way back, which I'll get into that a little bit later. But anyways, moving on, he says, they always compare me to others and try to pit me up against all my brothers. Now, why you think so many rappers be overdosing at the crib? Overdosing at the crib because people just won't let them live. So right here, he's speaking to how artists are often compared to their contemporaries and they always pit them against each other. And you see that with the whole Drake, Cole, Kendrick narrative, as well as like Big Sean, Logic, and all of that. And he's basically saying, you know, for some people it gets to them and it could bring them to the point of, you know, doing drugs and causing them to, you know, overdose due to the pressures of society. And the overdosing at the crib is basically probably speaking about Mac Miller and probably Peep as well, because I think both of them die while they're in their own homes. And then he says, that's why I keep flowing. That's why I keep persevering. Even when I'm hearing I'm a bitch, I'm a fag, I'm a motherfucking hype beast. I ain't black in the slightlies. I ain't good enough. I should quit. I should kill myself. Because you'll never be Kenny. You'll never be better than Drizzy or Cole. You're losing your hair. You're too fucking old. Yeah. So right here, this is him basically reading the social media comments. People always talk about him, you know, not being black enough. They call him corny, this and the third. You won't be better than Drake or Cole or Kendrick. You losing your hair, you know, just petty stuff. And he's saying through all of that, he's, you know, keeping his head on straight and, you know, doing what he needs to do. And then he says, I wish I was famous. I wish I was rich. I wish I could just get up out of this bitch. But be careful what you wish for, because it ain't everything that's it's cut out to be. So this line right here kind of borrows from Eminem's song, because he had a song similar to this where he talked about how, you know, being famous isn't what you think it is. And the song is called Almost Famous. He just says, I just want to be famous, but be careful what you wish for. So this is basically him, you know, being a student of rap and bringing it back into, you know, this song. But anyways, moving on, we have Homicide. It's the second single, and it's basically a lyrical homicide with Logic and M as they trade bars back and forth. So Logic starts off, he says, I'm foaming at the mouth, ain't nobody taking me out. Every single rapper in the industry, yeah, they know what I'm about. And I dare you to test me, because not a single one of you motherfuckers impressed me. And maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I'm full of innovation, and I'm tired of all this high school, he's cool, he's not rap shit. Can a single one of you motherfuckers even rap? Shit, no, this ain't a diss to the game, this a gas to the flame. Nowadays, everybody's on the same shit's lane. So right here, he's basically saying he wants all the smoke. Anybody who gets on a track with him, he's coming for their head. Similar to how Kendrick came with that Control verse, basically saying that, you know, he want to compete. And he's also critiquing how everybody sounds the same. Every new artist that comes out pretty much sounds the same, give or take a handful of people. And, you know, he's tired of that. And I am as well. It's like people just no longer care about the art. They're just in it for the money. And a lot of times that's why these artists' careers don't, you know, last as long as they probably want them to, because their music lacks substance. But anyways, moving on, he says, I got bitches, I got hoes, I got red designer clothes. No, we ain't fucking with that. Yeah, there's a time and a place, but if you ain't coming with the illest of raps, calling yourself the greatest alive, then you don't deserve to do that. No, no. Oh, no, no. Please do not do that. You gonna get smacked. You gonna make Bobby attack. You gonna make Bobby Boy snap. You gonna make Bobby Boy snap. Bobby Boy. So right here, he's basically critiquing today's rap, the mumble rap, where all they talk about is the women they got and how much money they got and the clothes they wear. And then in the same vein, want to talk about how they're the greatest alive when they don't even be writing their raps and their music lacks substance. So he's basically just playing around with that, and you're going to see that throughout this album. And then Eminem's verse, he says, unloading, leave you shot up in your Rover. Your body goes limp and slumps over like A-Rod in a month low. But he just Homer. Hold up, I said Rover because now your Rover is red, like Red Rover, so you know what I meant. But I roll over my opponents instead, making dog sounds because I got to keep breaking these bars down. I'll go slow for the speds, but when I go woof, like the Doberman said, I still think the roof will go over your head. Haha, beast mode. Motherfuckers about to get hit with so many foul lines, you'll think I'm a free throw. Figured it was about time for people to eat crow. You're about to get out rhyme. How could I be dethroned? I stay on my toes like the repo. A behemoth in sheep's clothes. From the east coast to the west, I'm the ethos and I'm the GOAT. Who the best? I don't gotta say a fucking thing though, cause MCs know. So right here, we get a whole lot from him. So the first part of that, he says, leave you shot up in your Rover. Your body goes limp and slumps over like A-Rod in a month low. So right here, he's saying he'll leave you dead, you know, in your Rover, which is a car, which is a truck. And then he says slumped over like A-Rod in a month. Basically, he's saying A-Rod has put on weight a month out of, you know, retiring from baseball. And then he says, but he just homered, holler up. I said Rover because now your Rover is red, like Red Rover. So you know what I meant. But I roll over my opponents. That line right there is basically playing on the game Red Rover. Also is bringing back a story about Suge Knight, where his Ford Raptor was mistaken for a Range Rover, so he's playing on that. That's where the I'll roll over my opponents comes from, because Suge Knight ran over a dude that he killed. And then he's also talking about how a dog rolls over as well. So you see he's very witty with the bars. And then also Rover is the name of the middle portion of the baseball field. So you got a whole bunch of different, you know, lines in that. And then he makes fun of basically the mumble rappers, where he says, making dog sounds because I got to keep breaking these bars down, because the only way people really understand things is if things are dumbed down. And that roof, you know, ad-lib is done by Offset of the Migos, I do believe he be doing that. And then he says, motherfuckers about to get hit with so many foul lines, you'll think I'm a free throw. You get fouled, you go to the free throw. Figure it was about time for people to eat crow. You about to get out rhyme. Basically, he's saying he gonna make people eat their words. How could I be dethroned? How could somebody be better than him when it comes to being a witty rap artist? I stay on my toes like the repo. Meaning he stays, you know, he stays sharpening his tools, so when it's time to do what he needs to do, he's able to. A behemoth in sheep clothes, from the east coast to the west coast. Basically, to the ordinary person who wouldn't know who an Eminem was if they wasn't in hip hop or whatever, he looks just like an ordinary person. But when he gets on the mic, he's a behemoth. And then he says, I'm the ethos and I'm the GOAT. Who the best? I don't gotta say a fucking thing because MCs know. He doesn't have to say that he's the best, even though he had a song called Rap Guide, but he said he don't have to say he the best because the true MCs know that he's up there as being one of the best, if not the best, when it comes to, witty rap. So just that part right there was so much. But moving on, he says, I don't want to fucking listen to you spit your rap someone else wrote. You used to get beat up by the big kids. Used to let the big kids steal my big wheel, and I wouldn't do shit but just sit still. Now money's not a big deal. I'm rich. I'll wipe my ass with 6 mil. Big bills like a platypus. A caterpillar's coming to get the cannabis. So right here, he's continuing his theme of not liking today's music, where a bunch of artists are mumble rapping and their music doesn't have much substance. And then he speaks to how he used to get bullied as a kid, which he spoke about in his other projects as well. And then he says, I wipe my ass with 6 mil. And that's basically a shot at Joe Budden, whose net worth, if you look up, is 6 mil. And then he says, big bills like a platypus. A caterpillar's coming to get the cannabis. That last part is in reference to Royce the 5'9" song Caterpillar. The first part, the original song is Royce featuring Eminem, and then the remix is Royce featuring Logic. And as Royce broke it down, he's saying, just because the new thing is fresh and in your head doesn't mean you should disrespect the old thing. Yeah, so Royce basically says, don't disrespect the original because of the new. And Cannabis is an ode to M's beef with the rapper Cannabis. And then towards the end of the song, M raps in the same tone as the comedian Chris D'Elia, who mocked M's style. And he basically included that at the end of the song as well. So pretty dope. A lot of layers to this. But moving on, we have track 3, Wannabe. It's a song about people's need to be famous and seeking it through social media. Logic says, how much does fame weigh? A gram? And this is basically using drug talk. A gram is lingo and drug talk. And then how much does fame weigh? A gram. A gram is Instagram. So basically he's equating how much does one have to do to be famous on Instagram or whatever. And then he says, I ain't apologizing. Inject the collagen, make me feel like I'm in a college again. College again? He's selling fame by the gram. Can't leave the house without you in my hand. You in my hand? That social media shit is a contest. If I ain't winning, then I'm depressed. And I feel less than. I get stressed then. I get stressed like, ooh, why you think Kanye crazy? Why you think YG brazy? Like, Sue Woo. So he said, inject the collagen, make me feel like I'm in college again. College again is basically one of the most prominent proteins in the body, and it also is linked to one's youthfulness, and it helps keep the skin tight. So basically, as you get older, your body produces less collagen, so your skin starts to sag. And he's speaking to people who are basically getting that injected into themselves so they can feel youthful again, like how you would if you were in college. People who are in college are youthful, so a play on words. He's selling fame by the gram. He's selling collagen, which is equated to youth. He's selling fame by the gram. If you're on a gram, you're usually, or should I say, if you're famous on a gram, you're usually youthful. And this is speaking to like the Instagram models and stuff like that. Can't leave the house without a shoe in my hand. Social media, your phone. That social media shit is a contest. It is. If I ain't winning, then I'm depressed. Basically speaking to what social media can do to people, make you feel depressed. Which is why you got Instagram tinkering with doing away with everybody being able to see the likes, and the only person that'll be able to see the likes is the person who posted the picture and not the public in general. And then he says, why you think Kanye crazy. And this is speaking to how Kanye goes on his little tweet tirades a lot on like Twitter, where he vents and stuff. And then he says, why you think YG brazy? And you know, YG, his project still brazy. So why you think YG brazy? Like Suwoop. Suwoop is basically, you know, what YG is, blood. And then we have track 4, Clickbait. It's a record about social media, drugs, and mental health, which are 3 of the most prevalent things in today's society. He says, say I should empty the whole bottle in my mouth like peeping overdose, immortalize myself while the media use my death, monetize their wealth, RIP little peep. Let that young man sleep. Let that young man death teach the youth. The streets to beat addiction, yeah, that's my addiction. Moment of silence. I don't do the Breakfast Club because Charlemagne is shameless. That's the only one I leave out when I run my bases. Do your research before you call somebody homophobic. You make a living off of controversy, and you know it. I ain't that type of artist. Respect my name and we could talk about it. I'll suck a dick just to prove it ain't that my way. I'll suck a dick just to prove it ain't that way. Nigga, what? 99% don't listen what I say. You gay. Quote that line but leave out all the mental health. So right here, he said he's speaking to little people who overdose on, you know, fentanyl. And then after he died, you had a bunch of different media outlets basically put up a whole bunch of videos and, you know, profiting off his death like a lot of people do. Nipsey Hussle died. You see every single media outlet posting videos about him. And when he was alive, they wasn't doing none of that. So it's basically saying use these different situations of, you know, people dying from drugs and whatnot to know that that's something that you shouldn't do. He's basically speaking to the kids right here. And then he says, I don't do the Breakfast Club because Charlemagne is shameless. And right here, he's speaking to how Charlemagne does a whole bunch of trolling and does things to get clicks. Which is true. He's done some pretty shady things in the past. He had the thing with Floyd where Floyd was struggling to read like a couple of lines, and they basically played that online for, you know, the world to hear and to get clicks. Later he said that he felt bad about it, but it was still corny and he shouldn't have did that. And he's also speaking to Charlemagne asking him who raped his sisters when he was up there for his interview. And Logic was quick to dismiss that and say he wasn't comfortable talking about that. And then he's also speaking to how Charlemagne said that he's homophobic because of a tweet that was pulled up from, I think it was way back in 2011. And the line is basically in reference to him saying her brother is a fag, which was a tweet to Fiffany and Tiffany Lou on Twitter. And yeah, it was tweeted August 6, 2011. And so basically they grabbed that and try to paint him as a homophobe when in reality he's not. He's done many things to support, you know, the LGBTQ community and whatnot. The suck a dick line is a spin on Charlemagne basically saying he would suck 6ix9ine dick if he was to beat his case. So right here you see him playing on a whole bunch of different things right here. And I thought this was a pretty important record. He basically ends the song by saying that most of what Logic says goes over people's heads and they only remember the negative and minute things. So if anything, the most people are going to take from this album is that suck a dick line and not anything else that he's actually talking about. But anyways, moving on, we have Mama / Show Love featuring YBN and Cordae. It's a 2-part record, one about seeking mother's validation and the other about showing love to your fellow MC. YBN says, but the truth is realer than the fake shit. No, they shoot the killers and produce the triggers. I go 2 gorillas on some babe shit. Look at all the fame and the fortune, the pain and extortion, the range and the Porsches, the same but it's gorgeous. Mama called me, said your name on the Forbes list. Thank God your daddy never paid for the abortion, but sharing clothes, good times. I'm a Cherizos, now I'm stuck. Doing pair shows, embarrass holes on carousels. I'm careless though, I bear the show, don't tear your soul, my God. So right here he's saying, but the truth is realer than the fake shit. No, they shoot the killers and produce the triggers. He's basically saying that the same people that make the guns is the same people that's doing all the killings. And then he says, I go two gorillas, I go crazy on some Bape shit. Bape, their logo is a gorilla. He goes crazy like two gorillas. Look at all the fame and the fortune, the pain and extortion. So basically he's juxtaposing fame and fortune with pain and extortion. In order to reach fame, you have to endure a lot of pain and sacrifice. Then once you get that fortune, you got people who be trying to extort you for your fortune. So pretty cool juxtaposition of those. The range and the Porsches, the same. He's basically saying Range Rovers and Porsches are among the same tax bracket in terms of how much it costs to get either of those. But it's gorgeous. Mama called me, said your name on the Forbes list. Thank God your daddy never paid for abortion. So at one point they were thinking about aborting him, but ultimately it paid off with his mother keeping him. He shared clothes growing up, good times. He cherishes those moments. And he says he's doing pair shows. He embarrassed hoes on carousels. He embarrassed women who are on high horses. On carousels, you have the horses and you go up and down like a high horse. So pretty cool play on words. I like Corday. He's one of my favorite, newer acts. But moving on, he says, I'm careless though, I bear the toe, don't tear your soul, my God. So some pretty witty bars by him. Anyways, moving on, Logic, he says, I got more plaques than I know what to do with. Believed in myself when nobody else knew it. Goddamn, I've been through it. Goddamn, I've been through it. You ain't got class, bitch, you been truing. I'm the truest. No need to ask, back it up, girl. Now back that ass, Bobby. Get bitches, cause bitches love Bobby, and all of the bitches say Bobby delicious. To say I love bitches completely fictitious. He got more plaques than he know what to do with. Basically, he's speaking to his success. And then he says he believed in himself when nobody else would. And it paid off. Alright, and then like the end of that part, to say I love bitches is completely fictitious. He's basically saying that he doesn't like calling women that. So that's why he says to say I love bitches is completely fictitious. And then he says, shout out that boy Gambino, shout out that boy K-Dot, shout out that boy Young Drizzy. All y'all been doing a lot. Why the rap game so scared to show love? I don't know, but I am not that shit right there. I'm Black Thought. Y'all bring it back to the roots. So right here, he's speaking on how people are afraid to embrace one another in the rap game because it's so competitive, but he's not, and he's willing to be the one to reach out and embrace everyone. And he's saying, I'm Black Thought, y'all bring it back to the roots. Black Thought is a member of the roots, and reaching out and embracing one another, bring it back to the roots, bring it back to everybody being, good with each other. So a whole lot right there. Alright, then we have track 8, Commando, featuring G-Eazy. It's a record about wealth and success. Logic says, you got a Rolex but can't tell the time because you stupid as fuck. Let that boy breathe. So right here, he's basically making a crack at people who spend all this money on watches, but in reality, a lot of them can't actually tell what the time is on the watch. Then he says, I do it all, do what I want, and I go where I want, but can't go to the mall. Because if I did, they'd shut that bitch down like rap Justin Bieber. Best believe when I'm around, they go crazy. So this is speaking to a situation where Justin Bieber had an appearance at a mall way in the early, parts of his career. And it was about 3,000 people there, and it got crazy to where a couple of people got hurt, and they ultimately had to shut the mall down and stop the appearance. And he's basically saying that if Logic went to the mall, it'll be a similar situation. Then he says PLP, which stands for peace, love, and positivity, but keep that in the glove, right? POP was also the name of Michael Jackson's famous glove. And he says POP, but keep that in the glove, right? He's saying he keeps his gun in the glove compartment of the car. And then he says, AA, Michael Jackson on these hoes. You know I keep a glove. Hee hee. Boss up like Lando, like Donald Glove. Then he says, yeah, boss up like Lando, like Donald Glove. So this line right here, he played on, Michael Jackson's famous hee hee, ad lib, and then he says boss up like Lando. Lando is the name of the character Donald Glover played in the movie Star Wars. And then we have the next part that it says, help me break the internet though, my brother, listen. And so that's basically Logic leaving a voicemail on G-Eazy's phone. And then G-Eazy says, I'm feeling golly, wearing all white. And this is in reference to, if you look at what he wears, is always all black like Johnny Cash. And so he's saying he's feeling golly, wearing all white. It's a change for him to, be wearing all white. And all white is basically a representation of purity and very prominent, specifically in the Christian culture as well. And then he says, yeah, walking bodegas, buying my cover of XXL. XXL? Yeah. Fell in love with music, but I know this shit's a business now. Back to basics, like it's LASIK's got the vision now. So he walks into a corner deli and he sees himself on the cover of XXL, which, speaks to his consistency and the hard work that he's put in. And then he says, yeah, fell in love with music, but I know this shit's a business. He says, even though he loves music, he understands that it's a business and he has to keep the mindset of it as being a business. And he has to get back to the basics, like it's LASIK. LASIK is LASIK eye surgery, which is basically restoring your vision back to the basics. So a cool play on words right now. I should say a cool play on words right there. All right, then we have track 12, Limitless. It's a record about Logic's untapped potential and need to continuously improve. He says, haters hate me, but they stand because the things they wish they could, they know I can. Goddamn. He says people hate on him because he does things that they wish they could, but they know that he can do. So clever play on words. 1-800 made my bank account look like a phone number. The song 1-800, which was a song about depression and suicide and stuff like that, boosted his fame and prominence to a level to where his bank account looks like that phone number, which that's a lot of money. And he says, if you ain't dropping shit like all the time, then people think you died. And since 2009, when Logic first made his first project, which I believe was Psychological, the album, because that used to be his original name before he dropped it to Logic. His name was Psychological. He's basically dropped a project every year since then, and this year he's dropped 2 projects. This one and then a previous one. I forgot the name of it though, but yeah, he's basically been consistent. And he's just speaking to that right there. Then he says, shit ain't work out with my last. TMZ act like I lied. Called Jermaine for some advice because these people think I'm careless, he said. Bobby on the real, man, fuck them all. You should care less. So right here, he's speaking to his previous marriage to his ex and how TMZ acted like there's more to the situation. They insinuated that he cheated on her and that's the reason why he got a divorce, but that's not what happened. Things just didn't work out. And he called J. Cole, which is Jermaine, for advice, and he basically told him to not pay what other people have to say about him, no mind, and just do you. So basically, don't sweat the small stuff. Then he says, Scarecrow Flow, I'm outstanding in my field. I just texted J.J. Abrams on some $1 million shit. Yeah, my movie gonna be crazy. First, I gotta polish shit. Schooling all you fucking rappers. This right here, the scholar shit. Scarecrow Flow. He's basically equating the way he raps to how birds are afraid, to enter fields because of Scarecrow. So rappers are afraid to, go bar for bar with him. I'm outstanding in my field. I just texted. A scarecrow is standing in the field. He's outstanding in the field of rap. So basically a play on those two things. He pitched a movie to movie director J.J. Abrams, who picked it up, and he said, but before they actually get into producing that, he gotta tweak it a little bit. And he's basically saying he's giving you guys a game on how to elevate yourselves beyond just the realm of music. And that's important. Life is about elevation. You never want to stay in one position. You always want to try to get to that next level. And right here, he's showing you how he's going to get to that next level. Then we have Keanu Reeves. It's the third single. Logic sees himself as being the one. Top of the rap game, like Keanu's character Neo from The Matrix. He says, wrote a whole movie, then I sold that joint. That's in reference to the previous track. He says, fuck Illuminati. That boy Six got my back. Six made this beat. Six bring the heat. A play on 666, which is associated with the Illuminati. The heat you got on repeat. Word on the street, can't no one compete. I'm spectacular. That boy got the sauce on the regular. Ragu is the name of a tomato sauce. He got the sauce on the regular. I don't play no games unless we talking Fortnite. Finally knew I made it. Sitting at the red light when them soccer moms pulled up in a van while I ride like, oh my God, children, it's they 1-800 guy. But my door suicide. Yeah, I'm too alive. So right here, he's playing on how a van doors, they push out and go backwards, while his doors are suicide doors. They go up in the air like wings. And it's also a play on the song 1-800, which is about suicide. So he's playing on that right there. Then he says, red carpet and my own merch, like that shit is designer. Do you know I'm mixed like Obama? So right here, he's basically saying whenever he hits the red carpet, it's in his own, clothing line. And he treats that like it's some high fashion stuff. And then he says, did you know I'm mixed like Obama? And then a project of Logic ain't talking about being biracial, bicoastal. I'm platinum, go postal. I'm snapping, yeah, Bobby, but probably only know my new shit, that trap shit, that cool shit. But yeah, but they all know that full spit. So right here, he's playing on how people criticize him for always mentioning how he's biracial. So he's playing around with that. And then he's saying people only know him for his new shit. They haven't been with him since the beginning. And this basically speaks to when he first started all the way back in 2009. Most people probably got hip to Logic when he dropped Under Pressure. They're not familiar with the Young Sinatra series or even Young Broken Infamous. I think when I first got hip to him, it was around 2011, so 2 years after his debut. And the first song I heard was called Tic Tac Toe. I was on Hot New Hip Hop. I heard that. I thought it was dope. And then I went back and listened to all of his early mixtapes except for Psychological, the mixtape, which Psychological was his original name, but he dropped that because he said that it was a mouthful. So he dropped that all the way down to Logic. But then he says, through all of that, they know that he can spit. Then he says, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. I don't fuck with nobody like Mean Girls in high school. I don't give a damn that I'm famous. Why it seem like every single celebrity shameless? It's dangerous. Got 50 million but my swag on food stamps. So the first part of that is a movie reference from Half Baked. Basically, you had an employee of a fast food joint basically get fed up with the way he was being treated at work. So he walks up to the register and pushes one of the other employees out the way and speaks over the intercom and basically points to a bunch of different people by saying fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And then he says you're cool to an old elderly lady, to which she gives him a thumbs up. And then he says, I don't fuck with nobody like Mean Girls in high school. Mean Girls is the name of an old movie, and the mean girls in high school are usually the uppity, prissy chicks in high school who's mean to, other girls for no reason, and all the girls want to be in their clique or whatever. And then he says, why it seems like every celebrity is on BS, they're shameless, they're doing things just to do them. And then he says it's dangerous. He got $5 million, but his swag on food stamps. Yeah, he's filthy rich, but he dressed like he's homeless, similar to how J. Cole does. J. Cole is a multimillionaire, but if you saw him walk on the street, you would think he would be the common bum. But that's just a way for you to blend in. Then he says PLP, which is peace, love, and positivity. I think that is the recipe, so I'm going to take a moment, use my power for good, fuck the bullshit, do what you love, and get out the hood. So instead of using his platform for from BS, he's going to use it to be positive and promote people to, follow their dreams and passion and get themselves out the hood, which is, usually a volatile place to be. Especially once you reach fame, you are in danger and you have to get out. So, but moving on, we have track 14, Don't Be Afraid to Be Different, featuring Will Smith. It's a record about being the trend instead of following it. Will says, West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground is where fuck all that. He basically bleeps that out because that's something that he's done all throughout his career, and he traces that back to a conversation he had with his grandmother, where I'm guessing she probably told him how using that language could have, certain consequences. I guess he carried that with him, throughout his career, and, it worked out for him. And then he says, won the first rap Grammy, so I guess I'm blessed. Him and Jazzy Jeff won the first rap Grammy, but this situation wasn't televised, so ultimately they didn't show up for it. Then he says, Rat Pack, Misfits, doing it different. And Rat Pack is Logic's fan base. Yeah, it stands for real all the time. And then Misfits is Jaden Smith's clothing line, and as well as his label, which is his son. So he's basically saying the two are doing things different. Then he says, then we have Logic, where he says, used to be that motherfucker in the background, yeah, but now I'm in the forefront. So this is basically speaking to before he got a whole bunch of success, he was basically an underground rapper. And then once he had singles like the 1-800 song, it put him in the forefront of music. So right here, as you can see from, all of these songs, this is a very lyric dense album. If you're a lyric head, this is basically the album for you. But anyways, moving on, sleepers, we have Out of Sight, we have Part of My Ego, we have Icy featuring Gucci Mane, we have Cocaine, and we have Bobby featuring his father. Skips, we have Still Ballin' featuring Wiz Khalifa and Lost in Translation. Only reason why I put this down as a skip is because like the last quarter of the song I didn't like, but the other 3 quarters I did, so I had to put it down. So basically a quarter of the song is skippable for me. But my favorites are Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, Homicide, Wannabe, Clickbait, Mama/Show Love, Out of Sight, Commando, Cocaine, Limitless, Keanu Reeves, Don't Be Afraid to Be Different, and Bobby. And my overall conclusion, I thought it was pretty interesting how on his last project, or should I say not his last project, but his his project Young Sinatra 4, he had Jaden Smith and he was on track 13, and then he had Will Smith on this project and on track 14. So it's pretty cool. I think that was I think the song was placed like that for a reason, which I thought was pretty cool. And throughout the album, he touches upon a variety of topics, you know, social media, depression, drugs, money, fame, anxiety, camaraderie, or the lack thereof in the rap community, people critiquing him, a whole bunch of stuff. And overall, I thought this was a great album. And I gave it a 14.75 out of 16, which comes out to a 92%. And that 0.75 comes from me liking 3/4 of the Limitless. I mean, not the Limitless, the song Lost in Translation. I liking 3/4 of that song. So overall, this was a pretty dope project. I gave Young Sinatra 4 100, but this project is more enjoyable to listen to. The other project is lyric dense, and it doesn't have no singles on it. It's basically a wrap up of the Young Sinatra series, and this one we have some bangers that you can, you know, bang out to. I think he made sure to, you know, put a couple of songs in here for everybody, you know, for the lyricists, for, you know, the mumble rappers, and, you know, for the everyday listener. And that's why we get the title of the song, I'm guessing, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. Basically, this entire album is basically everything that's running through his head as an artist, and it came out dope. But anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for this review. Make sure you guys check out the album for yourselves, see if you guys like it, and if you do, make a purchase. If you enjoyed my review, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Also, make sure you guys head on over to my merch site. There will be a link to it in the description, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace. I know it was long, but peace.